find yourself a booth, order up a cold one. This is the Spring Bar.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Spring Bar. Glad to have you here. I am Florida Mike, today with my co-hosts Joe and Casey. Gentlemen, how you doing?
Good. I think we had a really solid intro before we started recording.
We did, and I blew it. So,
Intro.
however,
Intro 2.0.
Yeah. Is that legit champagne or is that the kiddie stuff?
oh, it's legit. It's legit.
It's not the Welch's.
Full flavor.
Welch's.
Not Welch's, no.
Welch's. That's funny. You'll be glad to know, Joe, that I am drinking this episode. Actual alcohol. Real alcohol this time. Like, I'm a real boy.
The issue I've got is that I've been at a conference for the whole weekend, and I have been...
Listen, from the stories you've told me, it has not been an issue. You've still found a way.
It hasn't been an issue, but it's like, man, it's like I'm drinking champagne in order to dry out. We'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
This is light for...
So are you there, Casey? We're looking at a stained bench. Where's your hands at? Wave to the people. There you are.
Got the American flag. Yeah. This is not urine, although it could have been. I had a bottle of Hoppy's number 9.
Oh.
I left the cap off and it did this, and now I'm pissed.
So what did it,
Hoppy's,
about half of it empty out? Is that Love Potion number 5 now?
Hoppy's number 9. There's that smell to Hoppy's number 9.
Oh yeah, it's very strong right now.
It is, but man, it's one of those scents. Like if you know it, it's a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know it.
No.
It's a very specific smell, and it's one of those things. Like I grew up around that because we would clean the guns after we'd go hunting, and Hoppy's number 9 is what we used. And so there's this, it's this weird kind of nostalgia sort of thing. I mean, Casey, you might have a similar experience where I learned how to do that with my dad when I was very young.
Oh yeah.
I mean, so there's this total nostalgia thing that happens when
it's kind of it's not quite like Pine Sol, but I would put it in like Pine Sol.
It's there a little bit without quite the citrusy notes, but it also has a little bit, there's the astringency, and it smells like a solvent.
But it says it's non-toxic. Allegedly.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean we're doing shots.
Yeah.
Let's not.
It's not Malort, so we'll let it go. So hey, how we doing? What's going on? This week?
Oh man, do we Joe? Did you make an outline for this episode? It doesn't look like you did, huh?
I didn't do squat.
So we're winging it today.
We're winging it.
Let's go,
boys and girls.
We're winging it.
We haven't done an episode like this in a while. Where we
don't even know what episode this is.
I don't even know what number this is.
59.
It sounds close enough.
There we go.
The last thing I see is 58.
Perfect. 59.
Okay, there you go. That's,
I don't think
give or take an episode.
Give or take.
Yeah.
-3.
Well, what do you have on your wrist, and what are you drinking, Mike?
Me? I'm wearing my newly acquired, to me, this is a 1972 Jetstar A. This is like the Stars and Stripes. This is the red and black version.
So it's the Coke with the Pepsi.
It's yeah. This watch has been for sale on eBay for the better part of a year. It was way overpriced. It was on a weird turquoise silver expansion type bracelet. The pictures on the listing were horrible. And I had been trying to find one of these for a very long time to be able to restore and offer for sale. And I finally just messaged the seller one day. Turns out they were a pawn shop. I'm like, oh, well, they just want to make a sale. This thing's been sitting on their shelf for over a year. They'll take whatever for it. So I made them an offer well below what they were asking for, what I thought was actually kind of fair for it. And he said, yeah, it doesn't have a crown. It doesn't really run. I'm like, I don't care. As long as the dial and hands are good, that's all I'm after. Lo and behold, it shows up. This thing is beautiful. Put a crown on it, cleaned up the case a little bit, fixed a couple of little things with the movement. I'm going to wear the hell out of this until it's time to send it off for an actual service and be restored and
So
before
what
I sell
bracelet
it.
did you put that on? What is it on right now?
This is it's a vintage beads of rice. It has a curved end link. It's not a fitted end link, but it's a curved. There's the dreaded gap that you hate that I don't
I
mind.
hate that gap.
Yeah.
Well, all right.
Um,
It's just the gap where it kind of like flips up a little bit.
no, because this has the ears on the bottom side of it, so it keeps them from doing that, which is
But
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, but it's
Oh, is it like there's like a little
yeah,
crescent?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's just a little bit too much for my taste.
There was yeah, so if I use any other end links than the ones that came on the Tudor bracelet for that sub, I get the flippy thing.
Do you really?
Even with the little ears. Like I tried to use Straps Code like solid end links on their reproduction oyster bracelets. Won't fit.
Hmm.
I'll just sit in
Really?
there and it'll flip in and out and piss me off.
Okay, you need to try e-watch parts.
E-watch parts.
E-watch parts. Yeah, I got a couple of bracelets for my caravels. They're 20 mil. The one I sent you, that 665, that was on a
Yeah.
e-watch parts bracelet.
Okay.
And it's like the rivet bracelet would probably be great for your tutor.
Does it just have weird lug hole positions? Are they
Um,
like really close to the end?
kind of. But also the lug holes are fucking huge. Like
Now,
you
are
Really?
they
can't.
designed that way or have they become that way from use?
I don't. So I think they use the Rolex uh spring bars, the vintage ones, so they're really thick.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, then the other option for you too would be Uncle Straps, formerly Uncle Seiko, and they do some tutor as well. So like
E-watch parts.
if
I
you're
can't.
looking for an aftermarket bracelet, like those are your two easier user friendly price point spaces
Oh,
from
I found E-watch
everything that I've read.
parts.
So
Oh, now I have a virus. Thanks, Joe.
you're welcome. You're welcome.
Uh, so I'll continue on here real quick. I'm drinking. I got a beer this time. This is an Abita Brewing Company. This is called Purple Haze. It is a raspberry lager. And if you are a beer drinker and you like your beer to actually have fruity tones that you can taste, try this one. It's really good. I thoroughly enjoy this one.
Do you drink Lambecs?
Never even heard of it.
Okay, see if you can find a Lambec because if you're into fruity beer,
Okay.
there you go.
All right.
KC, what do you got?
So I am staying sober because I have to clean firearms, and firearms and alcohol generally don't mix.
I have to
Um,
say, and I'm going to be stereotypical, but you do not sound like someone who's from Virginia at this point in time.
well,
Today's
technically, I'm not from Virginia.
There we go. Okay, thank you. Thank
From
you.
North Carolina, where we definitely
That's not
oh,
better.
that's not much better. That's probably worse.
more than likely. But I'm rocking the Explorer One because guns and Explorer Ones do go together.
Nice. Nice.
Well,
Well,
that leaves you, Joe.
it does. It does. And I have new watch alerts.
Oh, we're combining the two.
Well, because I got the new watch alert.
He's excited.
I
Hey, I
am.
got new stuff too, by the way.
Well, you're
Finally.
not wearing it. Well, you're wearing that one, so it kind of counts.
Yeah, yeah, but there's more.
I'm segueing. Shut up. I've got the
Oh, yes.
this is the super compressor single crown Bulova. It's the EPSA case from 1961.
I didn't realize that one was that old.
I didn't either. Like I thought it was my dual crown. I think is like a 62 or 63. This has got. I mean, it says super waterproof, Swiss made, 666 feet on the back, and it's got the EPSA markings. It's got the crosshatch on the crown. It's about probably 35, 36. Looks like the whole bezel is like Bakelite. It's It's pretty damn good. I'm not gonna lie.
What's I think what's special about that one is the bezel. Usually
Yeah,
when you see those things are tore up.
yeah, they're shot. They're absolutely shot. And it's
Yeah.
also this is on Vintage Tropic curved in link as well.
Is that an original strap for that? I don't
It's
know.
not well, that's what it came on. I don't think this is the original strap, but it is a Tropic strap.
Like a
So
genuine Tropic.
genuine Tropic, yeah.
Oh
So
man.
I mean,
Well,
everything on this one kind of works. It's it's legit. The thing that's weird about it though, the lugs are massively long for what the style of the watch is. So it wears a little bit larger than you'd kind of expect. Like the lug to lug, I haven't even got a calipers out. The lug to lug is pretty big,
hmm.
but I am I'm over the moon on this one. The dial is great. The bezel is fantastic. Anyway, the crystal could probably use a little bit of a polish. Looks like there's some kind of, it's either parkerized or it's bead blasted on the mid case, and then the case.
What's a left and right limit on the price? Something like that.
This one, I saw it pop up on Instagram, and I know the seller. I've bought some stuff with him before, and we message a lot. And so he had some of those Caravel, the Handsome Devils, those dress watches. He was selling two of those. It's like, okay, I already got those, but I'm looking for the super compressor. It's like, let's make a deal. And so he had his price. I asked for some more pictures, and I'm like, I'm not there. I'm more here, and I got it for nearly what I was asking.
Hmm.
So these are going right now on eBay for 22, 23.
Okay.
Hmm.
I'm well below that. So
Nice.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
for
everybody
what that
everybody
is,
went away happy on this
you
one.
stole that. Really. For what that is, you stole that.
I maybe
Yeah.
stole it, but I'm gonna be paying for it for a while.
Well, but you're a happy boy today.
I'm a happy boy today. And there are other new watches.
Yeah,
Since
what else you got?
we're segueing. We're
That's
segueing.
new.
What else do I got this new? I have this.
Oh
This is
yeah,
this
the
is a
cool watch
quartz.
on the worst strap.
You know what? You know what?
I hate
You're
that
wrong.
strap.
You're wrong. You're wrong. This is a fantastic strap, and let me tell you why.
Oh, please try and educate me.
Because like normally for me when I get the strap on, it's like the hole is never exactly right, and it's either too loose or too tight. And this one has got just enough expansion.
Did we just segue into an After Dark episode?
No, we did
Okay.
no, we did not. But this one, I have not. It's like I will adjust it, but it's never been uncomfortable. And I didn't think I was going to like this kind of strap. I got the watch, and it was on something else. It was on some steel, like a 5 link steel bracelet. I'm like, it's okay, but it's not great. This is great.
Well, it came on a Jubilee, didn't it?
Yeah, that's right, Julie.
Yeah.
And this is so much better. I like this
Eh,
way better. This is
eh.
definitely a grab and go kind of tool watch. And then I have one more,
Oh, that's right. Welcome to the club.
right? And so this is nothing. Means absolutely nothing. Nobody cares, right? Simple,
Yep.
three-hander, no date,
It's
Caravel.
like it's like the mullet of Caravel watches.
Until you
And
get
why,
to
Joe?
there.
Parties in the back.
Parties in the back. And this is the issue. All right. This is the Caravel Companion, and it is the first display case back that
Mhm.
probably I think Bulova even did. Not just Caravel, but Bulova also.
Well, it
And
was it was the only one of that era.
this is like 1967, and it is a 7 jewel Miyota hand
Mhm.
wound movement with no finishing whatsoever. So the Caravel company, in its infinite wisdom, said, let's show that off. And they did. And the case back is actually really, really great. I mean,
But
there's this beautiful kind of dome to it.
yeah, of the
It's
time though, that in and of itself was far superior to anything else that was being put out against it. So having an undecorated 7 jewel movement was still far better than the pin levers you were getting in anything
completely,
else.
completely.
Yeah.
But it's like if you're talking about display case back and what we understand display case backs to be, The fact that there is no finishing on that movement. There's
Yeah.
not much to look at, and it's a 7 joule movement at that. But that makes it. And so I brought this to the last OC Chrono meetup that I went to. And so you have people with their Grand Seikos and their Speedmasters and they're this and they're that and these wonderful and huge expensive watches. And the guy sitting next to me wearing the white gold Yachtmaster 2 thought this was way cooler. It's a nice shout out to OC Chrono and the fact that the people who go to that are real watch fans.
Fantastic group of people.
They like watches. Like the guy that does the Seiko mods gets as much traction as the guy that brings in any AP or vintage Rolex or whatever.
See, we need a group like them here in Central Florida, which is also Orange County. So you really wouldn't have to change the name or any of the branding because it could still remain the OC Chrono Group.
You know what? I will
Group
bring it up.
East.
I will bring it up to the Chrono Group people and say you need to start one in Orange County in Florida. And there's also, I think there's an Orange County in New Jersey also. So I mean, it could be 3 at that point.
There's Orange County's all over, actually.
There you go.
Really.
Well, start getting leather jackets and
yeah. So
fake
fun fact about that watch.
Fake boobs. You're fine. It'll be great.
what?
Fun fact about that watch. There is another version of that, and I don't know what it's called. It's the same dial, same case, and all that, without the display case back. On that dial, it says waterproof, as many did back in that day. However, what's funny is when they added the display case back, they completely removed any water rating whatsoever because they knew it was not going to hold up.
Well, I mean, that's the beautiful thing about this one. This is the EPSA case. It's super waterproof. Not just waterproof, super waterproof.
Well, aren't we fancy?
Yes,
that's why you're drinking champagne today.
And I am drinking champagne because and it's extra dry because
super waterproof watch. Anything else new?
That's it.
That's it. You got anything, Casey?
Hell no.
No?
What? You know what's new? I've got a washing machine, a dishwasher. That at Jason from at Rolling. I can't remember his handle right now. Wrist rolling.
Watch rolling.
Yeah.
That's watch rolling. Yeah.
Watch
yeah.
rolling.
So I sold him the Breitling, and part of it was like, hey man, I'm not selling you the Breitling because I want another watch. I'm selling you this because I need to buy a washing machine. So it's upstairs. That's new. And then I have to go at 2 or 3:30 here to go pick up another bed.
Did you at least put a Breitling logo on the washing machine so you can look at it as you walk by it?
Yeah.
Sketchy dudes wash Breitlings.
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
Yeah, no, nothing new.
Well, you're like, getting your life in order and practicing for fatherhood at this point in time.
Life is starting to set in. We've been warning you.
You're gonna start collecting Timex next.
Yeah. He's gonna step into the affordable timepiece category.
Caravels from the 80s.
I'm gonna come back down. I mean, obviously I knew. I was like, this is the time to be an idiot. So that's what I did. Do I regret it? Yeah. Marginally.
All right.
Well, it is what it is. It's done. So I went on an eBay spree the last couple of weeks. Huh?
Nothing. I'm just trying to derail you.
Oh, well, you did a good job. Yeah. So I bought this one, the one that I'm wearing. I bought another Jetstar, the one that has the Breguet numerals on it.
That white dial.
It's a silver dial. Yeah, it's all very monochrome. Bought that one mostly for parts. The dial has seen better days on it. The crystal was completely broke out of it. The inner crystal ring was still there with all the little shards of plastic. The hands got mangled up, so it didn't run, but it had a good case and it had an original signed crown, which is what I wanted. But I got everything fixed, straightened out the hands, got it to run, put a new crystal in there, polished it up, put a bracelet on it. It's actually not a bad little kind of everyday beater watch. So I'll wear that one for a little bit until I have to dismantle it and use it for parts and other projects.
For the beater watch, I'm a fan. I like.
Yeah, But I like it because I have the real nice one on
Mm.
display, and then this one I can enjoy and wear and not worried if it gets scratched or nicked or whatever, because it's kind of its purpose in life right now.
And then sell it when you're done.
Yep.
And then yeah, sell it when I'm done, or use it to breathe new life into other watches. I do have another Merlot dial watch coming that has been paid for, and it should be getting mailed out before too long. Um, I bought a near perfect. It's not an NOS case, but it's really nice. It's the gold case for the butterscotch,
Yeah.
which came with a really good crystal in it. No crown on that one, but I have all the parts to build a butterscotch with that one.
You have that
I
extra
bought.
dial, right?
I have two
Perfect.
dials. So what I did actually, and I got it right here. Those dials. So one of the cool parts about that is all the weird use of colors on that dial. One of which is the hour markers are painted in like bright orange. But in the two dials that I have, those have completely faded. So I went and bought some paint. It doesn't show up the right color on camera here. I'm going to put a post on Instagram and you'll see how close this actually matches to what the dial color is supposed to be. So I'm going to redo those dials, make them look the way that they should look. And one of them will go into that case and turn into a real nice watch. Um, for the Merlot dial, I bought a crown. I looked it up in the parts guide. It's part number whatever it was. Went on, ordered one. The envelope that it comes in is all marked correct, has all the correct numbers and this and that, and the tap number and the diameter and everything. However, it is a service crown. So you remember we had this discussion a while ago about how a lot of these vintage watches were coming up with the Accutron logo on the crowns rather than being Bulova signed.
Right.
My oceanographer has one of those. I think you came across something that has one of those.
I've got a
We
few
found
actually. Yeah.
some others that have them. So this is supposed to be a B stamped crown, but it has the Accutron logo on it. It is completely correct in every way, but it's a service crown. So I don't know if that's kind of cool or weird or what, but that's what's coming.
It's legit.
Yep. What else did I buy? Oh, I bought an original. Gosh, been looking for one of these things forever. But it's the bracelet that goes on this watch, and it's the bracelet that goes on the Merlot dial watch. But it's the original curved end link stretch. I think it's a Drema bracelet.
Yeah.
Found one, made an offer, got it fairly inexpensively.
It's like
Um,
a weird sort of hexagonal three link. They're cool.
kind of like,
It's
yeah,
nice.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, is that it? I don't remember. That might be it. I think that's it. But I feel like that's enough. Oh no, I also bought,
Oh, wait, there's more.
yeah, that beater all monochrome watch that we were just talking about that I said
Yeah.
had a bracelet on it. So I bought a Caravel transistorized watch with the original bracelet. And the thing is that bracelet at the very end of the end links, the tips of the corners are bent flat to match the profile of that Caravel case. It matches up perfectly to the Jetstar turtle case. So
Yeah.
now I have options. And you can find these watches for fair. I shouldn't say this. You can find them for fairly inexpensive. And you get these original bracelets that are Accutron signed clasps and everything. So bracelet options
There
in
you
the
go.
future. Yeah.
There you
So I bought that too. So I've been buying all kinds of stuff. And I got the pre-order watch coming up uh
go. Zarek?
next week. No, that's
No, it's
the
not
the
the Zarek.
Radcliffe.
Yeah. The
The
Mad.
Radcliffe Inverse C. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm back to buying.
Disappointed.
Oh,
Disappointed.
shut up. Anyways, Joe, what exactly is it that we're talking about today?
So we're talking about fakes. We're talking
Oh,
about
that's right.
fake
That's right.
watches. And we like
Yeah,
in our
This
Well, in our pre-show discussion, we wanted to bring up the whole idea. There's a difference between a fake and an homage, right? And like Casey, this was your big point. So you want to speak to that? What do you want to do?
Yeah, I mean, I personally don't view homages as fake watches, but there's definitely dudes like every on Instagram or YouTube comment section, there's gonna be someone who's like, yeah, that homage is a fake Rolex.
like, oh, why
Uh,
don't you buy the real thing? Oh, that's not a real watch. You know,
yeah,
those kinds of people.
yeah, and I think we'll develop this as we go, but personally, the difference for me between a fake and a homage lies in the intent of the seller. Is the seller intending to market this to you as a legitimate whatever brand product and it's not, or is this person selling you a watch that looks like a Rolex so that you can have an almost experience or whatever whatever you buy homages for.
So the reason why this came up is this grew out of a topic fairly recently on the forums. Um, there has been there was one person that said, "Hey, I bought a new lunar pilot and it it doesn't tick the same way that all the other lunar pilots do. It has a one tick per second rather than the two ticks per second. And when you start the chronograph, that ticks differently too than having, the smoother sweeping hand type of thing." He's
So
like,
then
so I open it
so he
up,
pulled the case back off, and it
open
was
it
the
up,
wrong movement.
and but what was funny, yeah, it was the wrong movement. What was funny though is it was still a Miyota movement, but it was the Miyota 6S21 movement,
Right.
which is your typical standard quartz movement and not a high performance
Yeah, not,
course
not
or a
the
high
not the
accuracy
the
course or a
201
high, yeah.
high
So that
precision.
started a whole topic of conversation. And then more people started to come forward and say, hey, I got one of those too. And where did it come from? Oh, it came from the same
Yeah.
location geographically. And oh, I saw this one. Oh, I saw. So I started going around and doing a little research. And I found on Amazon the same exact watch. Now, they were talking about the differences that they were noticing. The biggest giveaways were the hands.
Right.
The hour and minute hands were a lot fatter. The central seconds for the chronograph hand has kind of that little arrow triangle, but that was a lot higher.
Yeah, it's wrong.
And it's, yeah, there was um,
And
the subdial hands were very rough
they all
and
look they've been cut.
yeah. And you can tell the Bulova printing was not exact. So I went and I started looking some stuff up and I found on Amazon the exact same watch. And they were selling it in the Panda and they were selling it in the black dial version, 43 millimeter, all the same pushers, the same dial layout, the same everything. But the logo at the 12 o'clock was like some ILPSY, whatever weird logo it was. And I said, perhaps whoever is branding these Bulova is buying these because you can get them for $150 on Amazon and removing that logo and just stamping Bulova on it. And Bob's your uncle. You've got a Bulova Lunar Pilot.
I
Now,
wonder though, like, so does that fake watch with the like whatever the logo is, does that have that same Miyota movement?
I would be willing to bet if you opened it up, it would have the same movement. I'm
I'm
willing to bet that's what these watches are. And somebody was buying them for super cheap, swapping the logos on it, and then
and
because
doubling the price.
they were selling them for $300 or $400. And
Yeah.
this is what moves into the category territory like KC was just saying, where you're unknowingly, the seller is knowingly selling a buyer a watch that is not what
Legit.
it says it is. It
Yeah.
looks like it, but they're not selling it as an homage. They're selling it as an actual product at that point. And if you
So
don't know
the
what you're looking
issue
for,
the issue
you're going
that
to get
comes
screwed with
up,
your pants.
so okay, homage, but even still, like Urban Gentry has got his homage of the Explorer, but it doesn't say Rolex on the dial. It's like, all right, if you're taking design cues and you're going to copy design cues, but you're putting a different name on it, I get that. and that kind of works for me. This is the idea of the fake.
And this is how it all started, though, because the ones that you can buy on Amazon looked identical, but they had a different name. So technically, that falls in the category of homage watch. But somebody was taking that, removing the homage name, and putting the manufacturer name on it to then sell it as a fake.
Right. Okay. So
there's a lot of blurred lines going on here.
Well, you know what? But there's not. There's not.
There's not.
No, there's not. It's a pretty stark demarcation line. If you have adulterated something and then fake the logo, that's a fake. If you have copied something and then put your own name on it, that's in bad taste. But at least you're not trying to pass it off as something else.
Yeah.
Right. And so this kind of brings us to the question of the day, which is how do you protect yourself? How do you know? And like KC, you're kind of the person that we would have to go to on this, because let's face it, in terms of Bulova, Caravel, whatever the stuff that Mike and I collect, it hasn't been really faked that much.
Yeah, here's the thing. I think you're looking at two different levels of watches here. When you get into the stuff that Casey's involved in, and you get into the fake watches of that realm, the prices that these people are trying to pass it off for are pretty accurate to what a real version of a Rolex Explorer is going to be, right? You're gonna get a.
Oh, right. No, finish your thought. Sorry.
No, I thought Joe was telling me to stop. No,
you're fine.
Oh, okay. So they're taking a fake Rolex and charging you just the same as much as a fake Rolex. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, the people that were buying these Lunar Pilots were getting so excited and buying them so quickly because it's essentially a watch that retails for $895, but they were getting $300 or $400 on them. So they were charging less, but knew that they would sell because it was being so heavily discounted that people would go crazy because you can get this hot watch of the year for so cheap. And I think that's what got them suckered into it, was that the price. So it's hard to say.
Okay. So let's first have the discussion about price. Because when you're talking about the fake thing, we're really talking about profit margin, really, right? Because if we take that chocolate Speedmaster that has been brought up as a fake, that what Phillips sold or Christie sold or whoever the hell it was it sold, and that they got rid of people in the Omega Museum and in the archive sections and the authentication stuff because they were the ones who were cannibalizing parts and making sure that the serial numbers matched and tried to make the whole thing legit, to the detriment of the fact that the collector community already knew. They knew the dial, they knew the case, they knew the handset, they knew all of these parts because they'd been documented, well done. And Periscope has a couple of fantastic interviews and articles about that. If you really want to go take a deep dive onto that, like look at his website, because that's really where you start talking about its profit margin. How much money can you make off of this? And if we're talking about these Lunar Pilots, if you've got the ability to stamp the dial and you have just a little bit of know-how, it's like, okay, you go on Amazon, you buy the watch for $150. You could probably get it cheaper if you go direct and you're buying in bulk. Get them into your garage, pull the dial off, clean the dial off, stamp it, and now you're selling it for $300. So you've doubled the price. That's a pretty solid profit margin. You're doing relatively well. I think that the issue comes down to when you get into some of the watches that KC is collecting, vintage Tudor, Cartier, the Universal Geneve to a certain extent.
You can get dials.
And your Rolex as well, like that Explorer. That one's not faked as often as some of the others, but it's still there, right? It's still happening.
Yeah, and what I do to attempt to avoid that stuff, admittedly, I don't do as much research because my brands are so varied. I don't have a lot of time to be as knowledgeable as you guys are with ABC. Um, but I try to go to reputable places. So oftentimes I'll forego getting a screaming deal to buy it from a place that I trust so that I
Right.
can have that.
And
But like
this,
even with you guys though, I'll send you guys because I'm still looking for a deep sea chronograph at some point. I'll get one, but I'll send some stuff up to you guys, and you're like, the pushers are wrong, the seconds hand's wrong. So even there, you got to be careful.
well, but it's one of
Well,
those things because there's the question that comes up, and we have to have this discussion because, and Mike, you alluded to it just a little bit, like you were talking about the service crown. You've got to watch with a service crown. It is a legitimate OEM manufacturer crown. The watch went in for service. They put that crown on. It is an appropriate crown. That is a 100% authentic manufactured OEM watch.
mhm.
It's just not as it was sold. And
and
so,
and
okay, service.
there's also the gray area of the Franken watch, where if you had a Speedmaster that didn't have the correct pushers, that's not somebody trying to pass it off as a fake Speedmaster. That's just a Speedmaster that had a bad pusher or a missing pusher, and that's just what was available to be able to replace it at the time. But it's not 100% authentic at that point.
Well, I mean, is the authenticity question. There are levels to that. Is it a reproduction part that is authentically made? So I'm not Omega. I am making reproduction parts. I'm making them to the absolute same specifications with the same materials, with the same attention to detail. Is it an Omega pusher from a different iteration, the later iteration, or earlier for that matter? And so it's not identical, but it's still an Omega part. Or is it something else entirely? And it really all comes down to the facts like, are you going to declare that or not? If I tell you I am selling you an Omega Speedmaster with Omega pushers from a different version, we're clean, we're cool, it's okay. If I sell you an Omega Speedmaster and I say it's all original and all of a sudden the pushers are wrong, obviously wrong. And this
Mhm.
happens all the times. And so, like KC's point about buying from reputable sellers, that's a huge thing. And like if you can buy from people that have a track record, there's a bunch of legitimate dealers that are online. Win Vintage, Minta Watches, Want to Buy a Watch here in LA. And they have a track record of being custodians and historians of the brand, but also, and I think this is more importantly, they own up when they screw up.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, this watch wasn't legit. It's been proved that it wasn't legit. Here's your refund.
Mhm.
And they're clear about it, they're clean about it, and you can say it's like, okay, cool, yeah, you took a loss, but now let's educate the community and let me tell you how I got duped. And to me, that's a much bigger deal. And if I'm gonna buy, if I'm looking to buy vintage
Hey, hey,
high end,
house.
those are the guys I'm going to,
Mhm.
because I know that they've got a little bit more of the research and there's a trustworthiness that comes with those brands. But there's another aspect of this topic, and it's one, Casey, you kind of alluded to it a little bit. It's like, all right, you don't do your research and some of that stuff. You're trusting the seller, but okay, where do you do your research? And it's going to really depend on what it is you're trying to buy. You know,
Very much, yeah. Very much. And when it comes to
Hey guys, I
researching,
unfortunately need to punch out for that bed.
you're out.
Yeah.
All
Sorry,
right.
guys.
all right. Is his video gone? I think.
Yeah, he's got. So
Okay.
As you will
So
see, Casey had to go and take care of life, but we will
yeah,
continue.
it's just Joe and I now, unfortunately for all of you. No, so we were just talking about where do you do your research? When it comes to watches like the Lunar Pilot, I think that's very easy to research because you can find a lot of current materials still via the website, via um, authorized sellers and things like that.
You can reach out to
What?
the brand too, because the watch isn't that old. The brand will
Yeah.
know.
Well, and see, and that's what my point was going to be is the watch is not that old. So a lot of these sellers who are selling the fakes are using the stock photographs, right? They're listing something with a stock photograph. Oh, this is the Lunar Pilot that you're getting. Buy it for me for $300.
Right.
My first bit of advice would be if you're going to buy a watch from a private seller, not from a dealer, not from an authorized dealer, not from the manufacturer, get pictures of the actual watch
Actual
that you're
watch.
going to buy because anybody can throw up a picture of the stock photo off the
Yeah.
website and
Yeah.
then send you something completely different. And I
So
think that's what
you're 100%
happened
on that.
to the people
Absolutely.
that bought these watches is
Like I will see that. I'll see that all the time. And it's some gray market seller is okay. Here's the watch, and it's the stock photo. It's like, no, 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 no.
mhm.
Show
Yeah.
me, show me the actual watch. Show me box. Show me papers. Show me all of that because that's what you're claiming this is. And so like you have sellers that will do that. And one of the easiest ways to go about that, particularly if you're looking at it on eBay, and I'll see this happen all the time, is like one seller has got 15 versions of the same watch. It's the same picture.
hmm
And sometimes the price will be different by a few dollars. It's like,
Yeah.
no, 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 no.
I've seen that too.
It's like if you're gonna charge something different for the watch, the picture needs to be different. All of the pictures need to be different. So like
Yeah.
that's one aspect of it. But like the bigger part for me, and this is where it's not a lot of research, it's just a little research. Where case in point, Speedmasters are a minefield. There are so many different versions of them. The case sizes are compatible in a lot of iterations. You've got different handsets, different dial configurations, different bracelet configurations. And there are a massive amount of aficionados, user groups, forums, websites devoted entirely to Speedmaster minutia. And I can't even tell you what the numbers are because it's a 10-digit number with decimal points in the
Yes.
middle.
Yeah.
103.695.231.02 Ed White, whatever it is, because I'm not a Speedmaster guy. What I can tell you though is specifically about Accutron factory Space View watches. And this becomes a big minefield. And we'll talk about astronauts also, because it goes
Well,
into the same thing.
I think when you're talking the space views and the astronauts and that, you're getting more into the Franken territory. So
You are
let's go
getting into
back to
Franken,
the
however, but in order to make the point, because those watches were put together, and there's the difference between the service watch versus the one that was assembled, particularly when it comes to Space Views. Because Space View there was factory Space Views. They came from Bulova that way. And there's a certain type of case and there's a certain gear level, and you know what the movement is. Then you have to make sure that the movement matches the case, matches the dial, matches the hands.
so
Hang on. Then there was
okay.
also a conversion kit where
Yeah.
you could get the correct case, and then they would sell you a different crystal and maybe a different handset. And that's a different thing. And then there's somebody who's assembled everything from parts, and then it gets into a mess. And so when you start getting into that world in particular, to keep away from the Franken watch, you need to do your research, and you need to do your research with people that are trusted experts within that field. The Bulova community, the Accutron community, is really welcoming. And if you go to almost any one of the forums and say, hey, I'm thinking about this, have a thick skin, man, because they're going to say,
Yeah.
this is wrong, 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 this is wrong. And like this could be a laundry list. and then you're never going to come back again. And the caveat, the thing that happens like this, and they go through this whole list, but then the bottom's like, but it's a nice watch.
The point being is, in any watch brand, in any style watch, anything that's popular amongst collectors, that level of geekery exists. So
Yes.
when you get into any fake watch, all right, because you're trying to replicate something at the cheapest price point possible. So you're using inferior movements to what originally came with. You're using probably inferior case parts, inferior pushers, uh, chapter rings, whatever,
Right.
right? So there are going to be differences, especially when it comes to movements, because not all movements, they're not created equal. You can't take hands from this watch and put it on your super compressor, and you can't take your super compressor hands and put it on a Submariner, because the posts and the heights and the
Right.
movements and everything is different. So your hands are all going to be slightly different from what they're supposed to look like, originally. The printing on the dials, the printing on the chapter rings, if it's a chronograph. I mean, all that stuff is going to be ever so slightly different. And there are these level of people who will be able to, like you said, well, that's wrong, that's not right, that's this and that and the other
Yeah.
thing. So it's very easy, like you said, I'm thinking of buying this. Is it legit? Is it not legit? You know, is it a good price? Is it not a good price? It's very easy to do research like that.
Yeah.
That said, there are some fakes, and it tends to show up more in the higher end watches, the Rolexes,
Okay. Well, let's talk about that.
where they're becoming very, very good at faking these watches.
They are, and the ability to do your 3D printing and do it cheaply and all the things that come with that. Okay, but let's talk about.
Because so let's hold on. Let's talk about Casey's Tudor sub real quick,
Yeah.
because that's an ETA movement,
Yeah.
which you can pull off the shelf. I mean, you can buy them fairly inexpensively. They're not expensive movements, and
But
you
here's
can
but here's the
build a
question.
Tudor sub with pretty close to the same movement, and it would be hard to tell the difference.
It would be hard to tell the difference, but if I got an ETA movement that is the right era, does it matter? Right? And this is the question, right? And this is
Well,
where you
but
this is
it
what
does matter, because if you're spending that much money on a watch, you're expecting it to be exactly what it's supposed to be.
okay, except now you got two things that are going on, right? The rotor should be signed, but the movement itself will be different. And if that movement is coming from a stockpile of whatever, if it's coming from another watch and you're throwing the movement onto it, is there a real difference? And the answer is probably no. If it's within the right parameter, the right design parameters, and it's the same style of movement, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. And it's sort of that same question of, if you look at vintage cars, is it numbers matching or not? For that movement, the numbers don't need to match, because
But
the movement is
you're
not serialized to the case.
you're okay with that at the level of which we're buying stuff. But if you're spending 10, 12, $13,000 on a watch, are you still okay with it then?
Because the movement is not serialized to the watch. Yeah, I'm okay with it, because that means it's a better movement. It's a more current movement. It's a better service movement. Whatever like it, particularly if I'm looking at a watch that has a massively ghosted dial, or it's got a crazed dial, or what some people would call patina and other people would call water damage. If it's got a water damaged dial, that means there's a water damaged movement. It's like, okay, the dial I can deal with. Water damage movement, I'm not dealing with that. I want a movement that's going to work. So,
See, I don't know. I'm of the mindset, if I'm going to spend that much money on a watch, I want it to be exactly the way that it came. Like, I'm buying a damaged movement can be repaired. I would rather
it,
have the original. It's like buying a 67 Camaro. You want the original, numbers matching 427 engine that came with it. You don't want a 427 big block crate motor, because it's not the same thing. It's a newer motor and it runs better, but you want that
all right,
original.
all right. So, A, back off. And B, do you want to have a conversation about my father-in-law's 69 Camaro that he took the four on the floor out and put in a column shift and then changed everything else about it. It's an original owner car. All the parts are legit. He did all the work himself. He repainted it the exact same color, but then put nice pinstripes on it. That car, single owner car, he did all the alterations to it. It's now exactly as he wants it to be. Is there a problem with that car? The Camaro collector community would say yes. The Camaro owner community would say, oh, hell no.
Well, see,
and there's right. And this is part of the difference, right? Are you looking at the watch as a expression of you as a collector, or are you looking at the watch as an investment? And
well,
I think that we as a group have said consistently, it's not an investment. It's for your enjoyment.
I think we're kind of getting away from.
We are a little bit, and I still have a point to make, but still, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, you're okay with buying a watch that has a modern ETA movement that should have a movement from whatever era it's supposed to be from.
No. I didn't say modern. I said if it's from the same time period, but it didn't come with that watch, but it's the same movement. If the movement was the same from like 74 to 78, and you have a 74 to 78 movement in that watch, it came from someplace else, but it's the correct movement, I'm fine. You have a movement that's from 1992 in a vintage Mercedes hand Tudor sub, no date, nuh-uh. There's the difference, and like if I'm going to if I can replace like with like, I'm okay. Donor engine from the right vintage, that's fine. Resto mod engine, maybe. Like, are we talking about replacing drum brakes with disc brakes? Yes, please. But again, that means that for my safety and for my family's safety as we drive this car. And again, it comes down to like, well, what's your point with collecting? Okay. So I have this watch. This is a Bulova. I bought it from a seller in Vietnam. It was claiming to be a Vietnam era Bulova military issue watch. The case back.
Vietnam era or Vietnam area?
Vietnam era.
Oh, okay. Because it came from the Vietnam area.
Purchased a seller from Vietnam. Okay.
Yeah. He's not entirely incorrect.
Oh, yes. He is entirely incorrect. And allow me to share with you, because the case back is legit. The case is nowhere close. It's a 20 millimeter lug. It's a Parkerized case. The lug shape is absolutely wrong. The dial that fits within the case is also incorrect. The Bulova logo is wrong. The numbers are painted yellow. The minute track is incorrect. The hands are also painted yellow. And then there is a fantastic, if you can see there right underneath, see the T for tritium. And the dial has no tritium on it. Okay. When you crack the back, it is not a Bulova movement, but it does have some Bulova bridges on it. This is a fantastic fake watch. I keep it. It's a hand wound movement. The case back is legit, but it's the wrong case. Everything about this watch is incorrect. The crown is wrong. The handset is wrong. The second hand is wrong. The font is wrong. The dial is wrong. The printing on the dial is wrong. The case back is correct. 2 of the bridges are correct. Nothing else is. I love this watch. This is one of my favorite watches. And I keep it. My son wears it, but I keep it as a reminder. It's like, it's not that hard to fake stuff. And it's also a big position for buyer beware. You need to know what you're looking for. You need to know what you're buying. I remember I purchased a Bulova 666 Crown at 4, 1980s version, before I really knew what I was looking at. And, I took it to my watchmaker. He's like, that's a Seiko. I'm like, okay, fine. And I got rid of it. No, it's not. It's legit. Bulova did that. It's out of pattern, but it's still the right watch. And you have to know what you're looking for. You have to do your research. You have to do your due diligence. And it's just a question of what are you willing to pay to get the education? Because like for you and I in the collector space that we're in, who's faking Jetstars as a legitimate thing? Like nobody's faking them. What they're doing is they're selling a watch that's got Jetstar parts on it, and they're not claiming that it's original. They're claiming that it's got parts because they have no idea one way or the other. You are the person who is taking all of those collection of parts, putting it together, and now claiming it to be correct. Correct crown, correct handset, correct dial, correct da 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 da. And I have assembled all of these from all these other bits and pieces. And now all of a sudden you have a watch that is worthy of a collection. And it's also worth the price that you're asking for it.
So are you telling me I'm selling fake watches, Joe?
No, that's not what I said. You are assembling watches to be as correct as possible. And sometimes you are making aesthetic choices based upon the parts that you have in hand, but you're also letting you are declaring what those differences are. Secondhand is not correct. Crown is not signed. Bracelet isn't correct. It's like, this is fantastic. Movement is correct. Dial is correct. Case is correct. Case back is correct. Okay, cool. And if you like you declare that, like, cool. My father-in-law's Camaro, 69 Camaro, swapped out transmission, swapped out engine, been repainted, interior's been redone, single owner. Like, I could probably sell that car and fund my son's college. And maybe I will someday, but who knows?
Yeah.
I have to find a garage space first.
It's just, I guess, at the root of it, do your education. Don't buy something that seems like a phenomenal price, because if it's too good to be true, usually it probably is.
Well, okay, but that's a whole separate issue, because
well, that's not necessary. That's how this whole topic grew, because these people were buying these watches at a great price, and they gambled and they came on a losing end.
But it is that question, because we've all heard the stories of the guy that picks up the God, what the hell was it? A memo box at the Salvation Army for $5, or there was a Blancpain, the 50 fathoms that he got for $20. That turns out to be a $20,000 watch. Okay, okay. So,
but what I'm talking is the latest production watches. There are deals to be had, and there are things. And if you know, but here's the thing: if you know what you're looking for, and you know this to be a legitimate watch at a phenomenal price, that's different. But if you don't know,
but it goes back to this whole thing. You are constantly looking, and you and I as eBay buyers, we have this conversation often, and it's the fact that, like, okay, I know what I'm looking at, and you don't know what you have. And you have to know how to find that. You have to know how to search for that. You have to know what to look for. Like case in point is you're searching for Jetstars. Nobody knows that it's a Jetstar. They know that it's an old watch. And if they've done a little bit of research, they can tell you what year it is based upon the Bulova year code, which is not intuitive. Once you understand it, it's easy to do. But if I was a layman and I had no idea, it's like N1, I don't know. N1 doesn't make any sense to me. But all of a sudden you understand that N stands for 1970s, 71. Well, okay. So if you don't know what that is, but what?
No, I know. But you're getting off point of what I'm trying to say.
I'm not getting off point. I'm talking.
You are. No.
Let me I'm
talking. Hold on. Wait. Stop. I'm talking the watch of the year, right? What's the latest one? The Meteor Dial Lunar Pilot, selling for $14.95. If you find one on a third party selling site, right? eBay, Amazon, Mercari, Facebook Marketplace, whatever, that watch that just came out that's selling for $1,400, $1,500 essentially, and you find one for $500, don't buy it because it's probably not real. That's what
Well,
I'm talking
no,
about.
but hang on, because this is my whole point. You didn't even let me get to it.
You think somebody's not going to know what they have, and they're like,
They
"Oh,
well,
I got
that's
a brand new
because
watch for five hundred
that's what we're
dollars."
looking for as buyers. That's what we're looking for. I'm looking for somebody who doesn't know what they have. I found this watch in the drawer, and I need to get rid of it. Okay, hang on. Let me
Joe,
finish.
you're apples, I'm oranges. We're talking about two different
No,
things.
we're not. No, we're not.
Yes,
No, we're
we
not.
are.
No, we're not. No, we're not.
Yes, we are.
Because you see this happen on a regular basis where somebody gets gifted a watch and they don't want it and they don't know what it is. They don't know very much about it. And they have all of the pieces. They've got the box, they've got the papers, they've got the hang tags. And it's like, hey, I got to get rid of this watch. I broke up with that person who bought me. I don't want the reminder. That's your best case.
Okay, in the
Okay,
1 in 100
it is.
million chance that you're gonna find that deal,
Yes,
okay,
yes, it
super
is.
rare.
And but
As a
let's
whole,
okay, but
that's not gonna happen.
no, as a whole, it's not going to happen. However, all of our listeners, all 10 of them, 15 maybe at this point, all 15 of our listeners are constantly looking for that deal. Everybody wants that deal. We want the barn find. We
Well,
want
and
the,
that is what can come and bite you in the butt sometimes.
that's the point. That's the point. And it comes down to this question of buying the seller. It's like, okay, great. What are the pictures? Are the pictures from the website or are the pictures of the actual watch? And this is where it comes down.
That was the exact point I was trying to make. How did we have to go around all of that complete
because
circle
you
to
kept
arrive at the same
interrupting me and
point?
I'm making it so much better than you.
You were not.
I am totally making it. What have you had to
Okay.
drink?
I continue.
So you have to take a look at what are the pictures. If it is off of the website, if it is not the actual item, don't do it. Don't do it, particularly if it's a price that's like this is a steal. Yeah, because they stole it from someplace. It's not legit. You find somebody that like if it's an eBay auction and it's starting at $5 and it's a
So if the
legit
price is a steal, then they probably stole it from. So basically, what you're saying is, if the price is too good to be true, it probably is, right? Which is
oh
exactly what
totally
I was trying to say.
totally but it comes down
But
to
Joe, if
but it
you look for the steal of a price, the watches that people don't know what they have, and we know what they have. I know there's people out there laughing with me right now.
whatever. The point comes down to is like you have to look at what is presented. And if you are showing me a picture of the actual watch, it's on your kitchen table and I can see the dirty laundry in the corner, you got a much better chance of making that sale. But I can also take a look at what you've got and I can look at the subdial hands and if they look like they're clipped. I can look at the case back and see if the printing is correct. I can look at, you're going to show me a movement shot and I can say, nope, that's the wrong movement. And like now we can have a discussion. And then it comes down, it's like, oh, well, I didn't know. You, the seller, oh, I didn't know. I wasn't aware. Great. Here's my offer. Or, no, you're totally full of shit. I'm like, no, I'm really not. Not in this. But I think that there's another benefit, and it's a different thing for KC because he is looking to fill a 7-watch collection and he wants particular pieces that fit those 7 different niches. You and I are looking at a brand and we're collecting within a brand for the most part, me probably more than you. And within that space, it's like, okay, I can be much more of an expert, particularly if we're talking about, devil divers, specifically for me. Devil divers, I'm a go-to kind of person. And I get messages on a regular basis. What do you think about this? Is this legit? It's like, okay, show me a little bit more. For you, for Jetstars, 100%. Secondhand is wrong. Caseback is wrong. And all of the minutia that goes with that. But that's because we have gone through and done a deep enough dive into these particular watches that we are well enough known to be experts within that particular niche. There are people that are experts within whatever the field is, and trying to find someone who has got a breadth of knowledge is like, yeah, it's not going to happen. You don't have somebody who is a vintage Rolex expert and a vintage Omega expert. They've got a limited window.
No, I don't know about that. And as much as I am not a fan of him, um, see, I can't even think of his name. Who's the guy that's based out of isn't he down in Naples or Miami or something
Vinta
that
or Wind?
huh? Eric Wind.
Wind Vintage.
He's got a very broad knowledge of a lot of these different brands. Yeah, I'd be willing to bet you he could tell you all about brand A, brand B, brand C, brand D, and what's right and what's not right about it. And the people
I'm
do
willing to
exist
bet
out
you.
there.
I'm willing to bet you that he can tell you a bunch about it, but he also has the ability to find all that information because he's gone to other experts. That's not all at his fingertips. He can get it though because he's plugged into the network, and that he has got a level of quid pro quo. It's like, okay, I'm an expert at vintage Rolex from 1950 to 1973. You're an expert in vintage Omega from 1975 to 1982. Let's trade information.
However, I feel like he's touched enough watches in different categories to be able to tell you about them. Like you specialize in 666, I specialize in Jetstars. However, we both have touched enough different Caravels and Bulovas to be able to say that's right, that's not right. This is it falls out of the realm of our quote unquote expertise, but we can still tell you whether it's correct or not. I
Well,
feel like he falls in the same categories for the higher end vintage stuff that he deals with.
that may be the case, but I would also caveat that with the fact that if I have been asked about something that's kind of outside of my bailiwick, that I will say is like, you know what, I haven't seen that before. That doesn't mean it's not legit, but my experience to this point leads me to think that it is not. And I will completely and utterly caveat that. Say, I'm not expert in that. This is what I have seen. I haven't seen that before. And based upon my experience with the line book, that's not within the line book. That doesn't mean it's not real. It just means there's no documentation of it. And knowing what I know about the brand, if we're talking about Acatron Bulova Caravel, it could be a real thing, but it might not be. And it's that kind of thing to be able to say as an expert, I can say this is out of my expertise. So
So let's sum it up. What are we
okay,
saying? What do we say? Because I don't know that anybody's followed us
nobody
thus
has.
far.
No, it's fine.
So
The the sum up
what's our advice?
the sum up is make sure that the pictures accurately represent the watch, not what the watch is supposed to be, but what the watch actually is. So if you've got any kind of pictures of what the beauty shots from the brand or from a website or from someplace else, check that out first. Then do some due diligence. And it doesn't take very much because with the way that the internet works today, being able to type in what the style of watch is, what the brand is, what the year is, and look for an FAQ or look for an expert or look for a buying guide, it's probably there. And if it's not there, go onto Instagram, go onto any forum and put some questions out. Say, hey, I'm thinking of buying this, and put all the information that you've got and then put as many pictures as you can possibly get. At which point somebody in that community will take a look at it and be like, yep, legit, or oh no, and then give you the laundry list with the cavity. But it's a nice watch, and that's your end.
And whether you, Joe, personally agree with it or not, be wary of the price because 9 times out of 10, I'll leave you that 10% of it does happen sometimes. If the price is too good to be true, it probably is.
I'll agree with that. I'll agree with that. But you have to also take a look at what the listing is, right? If the listing starts out that it's listed for $1, you're in good shape, probably. If it's listed for $300, you might not be in good shape. And so you have to because it goes back to this idea of buying the seller. If the seller's a novice, okay. If the seller's not a novice, beware.
Well, let's narrow it down to if you're buying from
Right. Right. Because it becomes a question then. If you're buying from somebody that has 1,000 different points of feedback and 99% positive feedback with 1,000 different references.
Well, but you have a different kind of marketplace too. Like you have the Amazon marketplace, you have the what's the other one that I'm thinking of? The Mercari. Well, that shows you, I think, feedback count. But there are some marketplaces that don't show you feedback on the seller, where you feel like you're buying from a legit dealer, but it's really not somebody, who's like that. Those are the people that you've got to be careful for, because there's no way to shop the seller.
I mean, so any place, if it's a legit dealer, most of them will have some kind of return policy because they stand behind their merchandise and they want to build a reputation. It's like, you know what? Okay, 30-day return, or will accept returns, that kind of things. Like I want you to be happy because I am representing this as legitimately as I possibly can. And if it's wrong, it's because I've been fooled. And you know what? I've been fooled. That's on me. Versus I'm trying to fake you out.
Mm-hmm.
No returns and no nothing. And that's always comes down to your due diligence. Like ask questions, ask a lot of questions, because if the person is legitimately trying to get rid of the piece or trying to sell the piece or trying to move the piece on, they will want to make the sale and they will be happy to answer your questions and provide pictures. If they aren't willing to do so, it's probably not somebody that you want to work with.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
Last call?
No, I'm out of booze, so I'm done.
Oh, well, I am too. Look, it's empty.
Yeah, but see, here's the difference, right? Your glass and my bottle.
Size is relative, Joe.
Size is all that matters, Mike. And anybody who tells you otherwise is lying.
Okay. And
we are the Spring Bar Podcast.
that's not it, Joe. How do people get a hold of us, Mike?
I don't know.
Well, Joe.
We are this. You. Whatever.
We've done this how many times? Oh my gosh!
How do they get a hold of us, Mike?
There you go. This evening, Joe, myself, and then now absentee KC, we make up the Spring Bar Podcast. You can find us on Instagram at the Spring Bar Podcast. You can email us. See, you've already thrown me off. The Spring Bar Podcast at gmail.com. On a personal level, I am 120 clicks. Spell it out. One long word. 120 clicks. Joe.
I'm Watch Taylor Youth. EUPH, all one word. KC is time.hack1636. And you can find us all over Instagram. We got the email address. We got all the other stuff. So let me throw this out there.
Mm-hmm.
We need you can tag us at the Spring Bar Podcast. Tag us in your
You're having a real hard time today.
Yeah, we are at the Spring Bar Podcast. Tag us in your best fake watch. You got a Franken watch. You got something that's not legit. Take a picture. Put us in it. We want to see.
There you go.
There you go. That's it.
All right.
Goodbye.
Until next time, we dispense mildly appropriate advice.
You get what you pay for, right?
Cheers.
Our sponsors. Yeah. Bye.